Following the loss of Dorian Finney-Smith, the Lakers lost both a really good defensive wing and three-point shooting option all in one. And while I would say it was a necessary loss for their team, then leading to them signing both DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRavia, which was definitely a big hole fill for their team at that center spot, I'm not sure they entirely filled the void left by Finney-Smith quite yet. Again, he was a great three-point shooter for their team, finishing second on their team in three-point percentage, only falling 0.2% behind Rui Hachimura, also being one of, if not the best and most versatile wing defender on their team. Obviously competing with Jared Vanderbilt, but Finney-Smith also able to take on center matchups at times, was a bit stronger and a bit more physical than Jared Vanderbilt, so that was a pretty big loss for their team that I'm not sure they entirely filled quite yet. Yes, following the addition of Marcus Smart, that definitely helped, especially at the point of attack for them. Jake LaRavia helps a bit, but that's more so potential, rather than proven ability right now. And well, that kind of leaves the question of, should they make a trade yet and add a different player to help fill the void left by Finney-Smith, either addressing the three-point shooting and or defensive ability they lost with him, or are they completely fine with both Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart trying to fill that void together? That's obviously up for debate here, though if you ask around, many will tell you that they do need to make a trade yet, adding another 3-and-D-ish wing to their team, either one that would slot in at shooting guard, small forward, and or power forward, giving them a different option and potentially a more reliable option, giving them more reliable three-point shooting around Luka Doncic and LeBron James, a better defensive option that can be a part of their late game lineups potentially, somebody like that, and somebody better in their rotation, either than a Marcus Smart, Gabe Vincent, or Jake LaRavia. And well, that definitely can be hard to find at this point. In general, 3-and-D wings are very hard to find and very hard to keep on your team, though according to a report from ESPN, they say that the Lakers should or maybe could target guys like Grayson Allen and or Sam Hauser, both of which are on teams that have very large payrolls and have been very willing to offload some money off their payroll. For the Phoenix Suns, they're currently over the second apron. Even after coming to a contract buyout with Bradley Beal, they are roughly $10 million over the second apron. And with the $16 million salary of Grayson Allen, that could be something they could be looking to offload and maybe get below that second apron. Or for a team like Boston, barely below the second apron but still having plenty of long-term contracts in their team. And for a 4-year contract like Sam Hauser, maybe they could look to offload that and get a little bit more salary cap relief, maybe offloading him and potentially even to a rival team like the Lakers, giving the Lakers another option and a potential 3-and-D option on the trade market. So with that in mind here, is either one of Sam Hauser or Grayson Allen a good trade target for their team? Would they be a good option to kind of help further fill the void left by Finney-Smith, giving them a much better three-point shooting option compared to a guy like Gabe Vincent, a better defensive option potentially than a Jake LaRavia, and simply another 3-and-D-ish option within their rotation? Maybe. So we'll talk about what a trade might look like for them, what the fit would look like with them, and what kind of trade assets it would take to get them. And beginning with Grayson Allen here, probably the one you're more familiar with, and maybe for the wrong reasons if you're talking about his Duke days, but he's quietly turned into a very good option and one of the best three-point shooting role players in the entire league at this point too. And no, I'm not joking about that. Now a 41.4% career three-point shooter, throughout the past 4 years now has shot above 42%, even leading the entire NBA during the 2023-24 NBA season in three-point percentage, shooting an absolutely crazy 46.1%, is an elite corner three-point shooter, being a 46.1% career corner three-point shooter, absolutely insane, and we're talking about nearly a 50% clip here, making every one of 2 shots that he takes from the corner. So pairing him with guys like Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, that could be a pretty deadly offensive pairing. And if they did want to go that route and try to make a trade for Grayson Allen, they do have a few different trade options here in front of them, one of which being a trade with Gabe Vincent, then another expiring contract like Maxi Kleber to a third team, trading Gabe Vincent to Phoenix and giving them some salary cap relief, also trading Kleber to a third team with a second round draft pick, giving the Lakers some salary cap relief with it, allowing them to sign their 15th player immediately after this trade if they wanted to. Also getting Grayson Allen, who would be an upgrade over Gabe Vincent in my opinion, especially in regard to three-point shooting and simply offense in general. Unfortunately might not be a defensive upgrade, but only a minor downgrade defensively in my opinion. And with how much more three-point shooting and offense they would get with Grayson Allen, how much better a fit he would be offensively, how much more reliable he would be three-point shooting wise around Luka Doncic, I think it might be worth it. Especially if it would only take the loss of Vincent and Maxi Kleber with minimal draft compensation to do it. At that point, I would think about it. If Grayson Allen is in fact on the trade market, if Phoenix is trying to offload him to get some salary cap and second apron relief, then it might not be a terrible plan for them and not a terrible trade for them to try and make. And I mean, with Marcus Smart filling that point of attack defensive option for their team, Vanderbilt being able to fill the big wing option defensively for their team, I think the 3-point shooting has become a bit more imperative for their team. You know, with Dalton Knecht likely out of their rotation, Jake Laravia shooting well last season but not being a very reliable option quite yet, they don't have very many reliable 3-point shooting options in their rotation, and Grayson Allen would immediately be a big time upgrade for their team. So in that regard, I might have interest in it if it's only for Gabe Vincent, unfortunately with Maxi Kleber with him in this scenario, or you could maybe expand it and do something like both Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber for not only Grayson Allen but Nick Richards with him, another guy that's on the trade market and a guy they were linked to prior to re-signing Jackson Hayes. You know, maybe that's different now that they brought back Jackson Hayes, but still wouldn't be a terrible option. Could be a way to further bolster their front court and give them a different backup center option. Yes, it would come again at the expense of Maxi Kleber, but at least they'd be replacing him with a front court option and a better backcourt option and backcourt upgrade to Gabe Vincent in my opinion. And overall, I think I would be a fan of trading for Grayson Allen. I like the fit, I think it would be fairly easy to attain him and wouldn't be that unrealistic in my opinion. If it's for the right trade price and the right trade package, then it might be a good option for their team to do. Though, how about for a guy like Sam Hauser? Again, trading with a rival team like the Celtics, a team that's doing some different payroll stuff and trying to offload some salary from their team. So could they or would they be willing to make a trade with the Lakers involving Sam Hauser? Maybe. And well, if they would, it definitely could be an interesting option. Much like Grayson Allen is an elite 3-point shooting role player. You know, not a guy that many know about, but quietly has been very elite in the Boston Celtics rotation, is now a 42% career 3-point shooter, taking 5 of them per game in only 18 minutes per game, that translating to nearly 10 of them per 36 minutes, is actually a pretty big wing that is not a terrible defender, isn't the best defensive option in the world, but also is a pretty decent option, having a plus 0.1 defensive BPM, rating positively in defensive EPM rating, all around being a decent option again, nothing great, but combined with the 3-point shooting, combined with the playoff background, combined with him only being 27, I think he'd be a pretty good fit for their team and definitely would be an interesting trade target. Though that's kind of where it does become even more interesting. Not only trading with Boston, but what they'd want for him through a trade. If they're simply looking to offload his salary and get more payroll relief, then it could be realistic. But if you're talking about anything more than Gabe Vincent with a future first-round draft pick swap, maybe at most a second-round draft pick with that, then I probably wouldn't think about doing it. But if that would be the case here and they're trying to offload even more salary from their team, maybe with a guy like Sam Hauser, who again does have a 4-year contract, trading that 4-year contract for an expiring contract like Gabe Vincent, then I definitely would have some interest here. Again, is an absolutely elite 3-point shooting option, is a decent defensive option, is 6'8", so would give them another big wing within their rotation, and I think would be an overall upgrade to Gabe Vincent. I would definitely have some interest in doing it and definitely would be willing to offer him some kind of trade package to get him. Overall here though, those are my thoughts on this trade report, and if either one of either Sam Hauser or Grayson Allen would be a good, realistic trade target for a team like the Lakers. And in my opinion, yes, but I'm not sure it would be a really viable pathway for them. I think definitely more so for Grayson Allen here compared to Sam Hauser, but it would definitely take both teams to want more salary cap relief. I think that they kind of are okay with what they currently have right now, so definitely wouldn't call it the most realistic trade option. I think they're definitely on the trade block for the right price here, especially again for Grayson Allen, and I would have some minor interest in it, definitely if it's only for simply offering Vincent and the expiring contract that would come with him to give either Boston or Phoenix some more salary cap relief. And if that would be enough to get a trade done for them, then great, I definitely would do it. Not sure it would be again, and not sure their level of interest would be as high as maybe ours would be, but I think it would be an interesting option nonetheless, and something that would be worth looking into at the bare minimum. So with that in mind here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about a trade for either Sam Hauser or Grayson Allen, or simply trying to upgrade from Gabe Vincent and adding a bit more 3-and-D option and reliability within the rotation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.